Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Aaron with Vintage Therapy Sessions, and we're with Jaron Jones today of Wild Things brand. Jaron, we're excited to have you. I'm going to let Jaron go through a quick little introduction about himself, and then we'll kind of get into some kind of discussion.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, my name is Jaron Jones, owner of Wild Things brand. We've been out since 2016. Yeah, I played a little bit of basketball overseas before then, and that kind of when that ended, went straight into clothes and things like that.
So 2016.
2016, but I always wanted a brand.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, you really don't know that when you're in it. You know what I'm saying? As far as wanting the fresh pair of sneaks, the clothes, being in the stock room with my mother from a very, very young age. I mean, basketball was always my life, but you kind of see early when you think back on what was my real interest.
So talk a little bit about that. How did that, so your childhood, the sports aspect from basketball, growing up in that environment with your mother, talk about how did that fuel the passion for kind of what you had to start Wild Things?
I guess my mother, she's been 33 years at Dillard's. So I'm 33.
Yeah.
So she started that job when I was 2 or 3 months old. So I've always been around clothes, in stock rooms. Dillard's used to have Jordans, so that's where I would get my Jordans. You know what I'm saying? And my Nikes, anything like that. So it's always been a part of me. But basketball, you're around the everybody wants to be an athlete. You know what I mean? So they kind of gravitate to you, and what you're wearing. I really took home into that when going to school, that first day fit. Man, how did that make you feel? Those shoes on the side, you would lay your whole outfit down to your socks and drawers, man. That was a really great feeling for me. So that never, I can't name one time where when I was getting dressed, I didn't have that feeling.
Well, it's funny because Scott's like that every day. It's like first day of school every day.
Yeah, see, that's the same. That's for me.
Yeah.
That's for me.
I
the
match
same way.
all my outfits with my drawers.
Yeah, for sure.
Outfit starts with the drawers.
I'm not that extreme, but I mean, that's not even an extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned basketball and sports a couple times. How has that played into kind of like your entrepreneurship and the business side and the competitiveness of what you do?
Just because, when you're in the gym, if anybody's played a sport, you have to dedicate yourself to it, so that's first and foremost. And then when you play at a high level, you want to be the best. Competing it's like, it used to be like my number one thing. It still is a thing, but I'm trying to, not kill that, but kind of make that not the goal when you're creating. So you used to be in the gym shooting 1,000 jump shots. When you got to that game, you just wanted to dominate that area, and that's really helped me with entrepreneurship. First of all, business is just like basketball or any type of sports. You know what I'm saying? You have to study. You have to get your reps in. You're going to hear no's. You're going to miss shots. You know what I'm saying? So I tie everything into that basketball. It helped me explore the world. Again, I played overseas basketball, as professional overseas, so I was fortunate enough to see different parts of the world like Stockholm, Finland, Mexico, Cyprus. So those different cultures and styles, and being in a place like Cyprus was real exotic, and you just seen how they put layers and everything together, and they had the sports cars out there, and it was just nice to see and nice to pick up on those things while I was over there, as far as to how that ties back into fashion. It was just being around that. I never okay, so how people say don't wear dirty forces. I seen that over in Europe for the first time, and I would ask people man, why are your shoes so why are these forces so dirty? And they explained to me that really doesn't matter. It's just if you have a killer outfit, and then aesthetically, dirty shoes may look nice with that with the outfit. So it was like a style to them, and I didn't pick up on it, but the world picked up on that late over here. Now everybody, you go everywhere and that's what you see. So that was really cool to see that style first and then see everybody pick that up, So, I mean, sports, fashion, everything goes hand in hand.
We got a night going here.
No, it's all good.
Got it covered.
No, and I think that's part of it too. When you look at especially this new line that you have coming out this fall, and what I've always enjoyed about your clothing in general and the creativity behind it is you see the different cultures, you see the different, the coloring and the textures of things and stuff like that. You see that in your brand, and I think that speaks volumes. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd say you probably, like you said, pulled a lot of those influences from your travel and your time, overseas and experiencing different cultures and different styles.
So what makes Wild Things so cool, and I'll break it down, is Wild Things create the world. So essentially that statement. You know what I'm saying? So
I love that.
It doesn't cater to anyone, it caters to everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when that's what makes this brand so cool, is because I don't have one set style. I just put on whatever feels good to me. And when you look at certain brands, they have one aesthetic that they go with, and they live off that aesthetic, whether it's a trend, whether it's not a trend, whether they're ahead of the trend. So that's very boxing to me. I feel, I can't think for any other brand, I feel like it boxes me in. So when I create, I want to create something for that 85-year-old man or woman, along with the younger kid. So when you see this newer collection, that's what you can find a little bit of everything in that collection. That culture of, I went to Bryan Station, I went to Lexington Catholic. So it started off early. I went to LTMS, but I lived in Winburn.
Yeah.
So you would see two different ways of dressing, the preppy style to, the urban, but high fashion, in our neighborhoods, because that's what it looked like to me, because I never seen these brands on some of the D-boys in the neighborhood and things like that. Like, I never seen it. So I was just like, oh, that's really dope.
Yeah.
That's really cool to see. And then my first time seeing Sperry's was at LTMS, boat shoes. Cool.
And I think that's the uniqueness now about fashion in general, is because you can take both worlds, put them together, and it works.
Yes.
And we talked about like that first day of school. I can remember the same situation, like laying the clothes out and knowing what you were going to wear, because it was different back in the 90s, because you didn't have social media. You couldn't keep up with people. You wouldn't see somebody that you went to school with for 3 months of the summer, and then you wanted to set that stage, like you wanted that first time seeing them back at school, you wanted to be on point with everything. And I think with me, getting that laid out and all of that, it didn't really matter what was on trend or what we were wearing. It was the confidence level in it. Scott and I talk a lot about this. I'm like, man, I can't wear that. I can't pull that off. And I was like, I'm 44. I'm 44 years old. And he's like, you can wear it. You just need to own it. And I think that's the key. Your brand, I think, in my mind at least, it opens people up to be able to say, it doesn't matter really what your style is. If you like the preppiness of corduroys, if you like the oversized t-shirt or sweatshirt, it's there for you, and you can style it together and make it work.
So I mean, you took it, that's perfect. You know what I mean? Like, you're 44, so you can find something in my collection, and you just have to own it. You know what I'm saying? Like, own whatever you putting on, because fashion is super subjective. I talked to a girl, she's like, I don't have any fashion sense, but I looked at her outfit and I was like, but does it make you feel good, what you put on? And she was like, yes, it makes me feel good. So that's a sense of style. Somebody can connect with what you just said. This makes me feel good. So, what I label, or I hate labels anyway, but what I would say is fashion may not be fashion to you. You know what I mean? But I think with this collection, I did a really good job of trying to show that anyone can pick a piece out of this. You know what I mean? And that's why, because I commend you guys and what you guys do. Like I said, I sat right over, a couple steps away in a booth, and I seen the dynamic of your shop and how everybody came in here, how the younger crowd, how older people, it was just everybody came in here to get something, and that told me that just told me what the world wants right now, and probably forever, because they're getting more into like the classic pieces, like you said earlier. There's no piece in here that looks the same. That's unique within itself, because I can get something in here, and when I walk out, no one else has it. And kids love that right now. You know what I'm saying? And it probably won't go anywhere because they want quality. They want things that's not on everybody. They love travel. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's so many dynamics, cool dynamics that you guys bring to the table as well, you know?
And you hit a key word, quality. I mean, that's when I explain people what the hype is around the vintage and the stuff from the 80s and the 90s and even the 70s, you know, that stuff that was made in the USA, there was a lot of, you know, some of it was, you know, not made by a machine, it was made by people actually running it through the sewing machine and stuff. The quality is so much better.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I love about your brand is the quality. You have gone above and beyond to find the best pieces, not only from a creative standpoint, are you putting that together, but you're going out and finding the best quality materials and pieces to put your ideas kind of to you know, all together.
Because you should never cheat a customer of an experience. You know what I'm saying? Because clothes mean the world to me. Like I've really grew up in stock rooms in some of the best clothes, and watching my mom go through that space of getting nice fabrics, understanding nice shoes, understanding quality super early. So me, I don't want to like, I'm so hard on myself about that. Like, I know threads may come out and stuff like that, and I get that part of it, but that's disappointing to me, to give a customer a bad product. In my mind, it's a bad product.
So talk a little bit about that. So where did you get that from? Like your mom, I guess, being in retail, you know?
Well, my grandmother said at a very early age, she was like, she hated dirty shoes. Like, always clean your shoes.
She would hate my Chuck Taylor.
like she hated dirty shoes. She was like, always keep a nice pair of shoes. So she would clean her shoes. I get that from her. And like being OCD about like the way things touch me. And then probably a while back, an older man, I was having a conversation with him before I even started the brand. And I'm not saying it's cheap or fast fashion, because everything's subjective, and what you like is what you like. But we hate
fast fashion.
Okay.
I will say that.
Okay.
We can put that out there.
Okay, all right. So when you go buy that T-shirt, it's not of quality. How many times do you have to re-buy that shirt?
Yeah.
You know, and an old man told me, because I used to shop like that, and he was just like, man, why don't you just find you a nice quality piece that you can wear all the time, it's gonna last, and you don't have to worry about it going to get that same piece that you like over and over. Spending the amount of money that you're gonna spend over and over is gonna equate to this price point that you are avoiding. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, that's a different way to think about it. I just want quality. I want to give people quality, in quality of life, just anything.
My dad had remember back in like early, like mid 2000s, he had a Lacoste belt, and I said, you've had this since we were kids, and he was like, yeah. He's like, you don't get rid of stuff. You buy something of good quality like this, and if you hang on to it and enjoy it long enough, it's going to come back into a trend or popular. And Lacoste had just become popular again, and so when he was going out, people were like, dang, but it was the old school vintage one, and he was hip and didn't even really know it, which is kind of cool. And I think a lot of older generations, it wasn't the fast fashion industry and the disposal, being able to dispose of this or that over time. It's like you kind of take that for granted. Whereas like our parents and our grandparents and stuff growing up, it was like they didn't have 20 belts. They had one belt. And so they wanted to take care of that one belt or that one piece of clothing because they didn't have another one, and they wanted to keep it nice and pristine.
And that's where the shoes probably come from my grandmother, like just telling me to clean my shoes all the time, So you right on topic and on target with that. And I think more so younger kids are starting to get back into that part of it. As I see, you have to study the market, especially with how things move so fast because of social media. So everything is just trendy. So it's hard to keep up with that. And I was creating in that space for the last 2 years. And it would just be draining. I didn't want to do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I just was like, man, it's so hard to keep up. Why don't you just take some time off, study, look at what you want to do? My wife was like, you know, I'm tired of hearing you complain. Like, just slow down. Don't rush your process. See what you really want to put out to the world. And that's what happened with this.
So let's talk about that. So the new line that comes out this fall, you know, you've got, you went a totally different direction. You've got cardigans, you've got corduroys, you've got, you know, sweaters, and the creativity is amazing. But it definitely, all the pieces have a very vintage classic look to them. What are some of the inspirations behind the line that you're getting ready to drop?
I promise you, just watching these kids shop. Like, literally sitting over there and watching, watching what they were picking up, understanding, okay, like, this is what they want, instead of the older styles that you were delivering, and again, trying that trendy. Yeah, my older stuff was good, but it wasn't great, or it turned heads, but it didn't do anything for me. So what I wanted it to do, I wanted everyone to really look at this and say, man, you're really a designer. You're really, like, you can cater to everyone, because those bigger brands, that's what they do. You know what I mean? That's what the Supremes do. That's what, you know, any brand that you think about that's been around for a long time, they cater to pretty much everyone. And that's really cool to me.
I think that's important to point out to people that are wanting to get into this business or start their own clothing line or whatever. You know, taking something from what Jaron just said, you know, sit back and look at the landscape and learn.
Yeah.
And so how long did it take you? Well, you started in 2016, so you've done a lot of just sitting back and looking and learning. And what's that process look like?
Frustrating. To be real, like, you can lose a lot of money, like, not waiting, not building a community, it's cool to pump out a product, you know, but if you have a product and no one knows about it and no one has any, like, culture behind it or community behind it, it's going to pretty much sit, no matter how much. You can get it on Joe Smo over here, but if you have no community behind it, it's like, okay, so, you know how many other brands is doing that? For the longest, I didn't make a profit probably for 3 or 4 years. My first big deal was during the pandemic, you know, where I'd seen a profit because I got into retail stores. And then it's been cool, but now we're making another push with this newer collection because it's on a totally different another level. So we're trying to get into a different space with people. So it's kind of like rebranding over time and just not being stuck in that old mindset that you were in when you first started, because you're gonna grow. That's the number one thing I would tell people. Like, you're gonna grow, and you don't have to just be stuck here. You can move and embrace that. And people think you got to shut your whole brand down, and no, you don't. I've changed the logo 5-6 different times. You know what I'm saying? We went from a bear to another bear to some other type of bear, then just the words Wild Things, then just WT money sign, and then now we're just a W. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's key. We talked about that earlier, Scott. You weren't, but we were talking about how I love Outkast. So, you know, every album of Outkast is different. Yes.
It still has that Atlanta feel and all of that, but every one of them is different. It kind of tells a different story, things like that. And I think so many brands like yours get stuck in one lane.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is our target audience. This is our niche. This is where we're going. We have to stay on brand. Whereas I think what you're able to do is kind of be that chameleon type and you know, go with not just trends, but go with where your inspiration is coming from. Taking, you know, a bike over there, for instance, and building off that, and the colors and the style and all of that, and rebranding each time you do a new drop. I know Scott, you know, I try to do that in the shop. We try to, you know, we have our brand, but we try to give something different every month or every week to our audience and to pull in new people.
That's the truest. That's why I like this shop so much, because that's the true definition of freedom. In vintage, you don't have to just be a logo. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You could have sweatshirts, you could have dress shirts, you could have sweaters, you could have fleece, you could have jerseys, you could have suits in here.
Yeah.
You know, you could. I've seen furs. Yeah. So I've seen furs on you guys' rack. So it's just like you could pretty much get whatever you want in one store. So that's what I want my brand to be, is like you could pick from my brand and really fill your whole store up.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to buy from anyone else. Like you don't have to. Like I love Bape and all, and I love BBC and all that stuff. Like, but can you get everything from them?
Yeah.
Maybe. But when I designed this, like I just want to speak to everybody. Like you truly speak to everybody in here. So that's what's super, super dope about this shop and unique.
And we've tried to do that. You know, we've tried to, you know, we have a target market and an audience that, you know, that we can consistently count on week in and week out. Mm-hmm. But then the idea is, how do we grow that? How do we expand that into someone who loves nostalgia, or someone who, you know, comes in and they want to, you know, they had that shirt as a kid and we want it again, you know, and I think that is the key. What so that kind of leads me in, because we have people that come into the shop and you know, Scott and I can both talk to this. They come in and it's not for them. It's not their style, or, you know, how does that make you feel, like when you go to, like you were in Vegas last a couple weeks ago, and you had people coming by your booth, and you were really passionate about what you've created and stuff, and they just weren't feeling it. Talk to that. Like, how does that up here, like getting excited, and then somebody coming in and like kind of tearing it down? How do you address that?
How I address it is, like, I'm a different type of thinker. How I address it is, oh, you meant not right now.
Okay.
So I don't hear a no, or you can't, like, I'm never going to show that it affected me in that way. I'll go home and think about it, and it'll pick at me, and I'm like, I just got to be that damn good that person. So that's what I like. Literally, if somebody says, "Oh, that's not for me," okay, well, I do have something for you. I have a cardigan with that's yellow and it's loud, but I also have this cardigan that it's not as loud. Or I have this black, this you know, this something that's standard. You know, that the average customer may want better than the loud pieces. So, you know, you keep all that in mind, and that like kind of picks at me when somebody says, "Oh, I can't find what I like." All right, let me show you what you like.
Yeah.
And that's just, if I was to set my brand on one aesthetic, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That makes perfect sense, and I think that's something I battle with really in the shop, is like trying to make everyone happy and making sure that the experience is just perfect for everyone. And not everybody is going to have that type of experience or that feel that we're, you know, wanting to push. But I love what you said about maybe it's just not right now. Maybe they might come in this time and not have, you know, see something that they want, but the next time they come in,
they see that fur that they like.
Yeah, they find something that they like. And so I struggle. I think that's the hardest thing for me, because we talked about a little bit earlier, all of us were, but when you have that down day and you're kind of like, oh man, people aren't on to the shop anymore, people aren't onto the brand anymore. And
that's a natural human feeling though. That's just what a human's gonna feel regardless. If we were not owners of a brand or a company, and we went and we worked for this coffee shop over here, and we messed up, and we're real passionate about making coffee, and we mess up, we're like, that's just a human natural feeling to want to, you know, when you have that in you, you just want to serve people and make people feel good. You don't want to mess up, you know, but we're all human at the end of the day. So we all have to remind ourselves that we're human. Other people are human. They're not going. Every day is not going to be the best day, and they're going to be roadblocks. And you just say, all right, God, here's a roadblock. I'm just gonna see it through and see what happens. And I'm gonna trust you to get me through it. I'm just now learning that hasn't been my motto the whole entire time. I'm just now learning that in year 7, that like we discussed, everything is debatable and it is what it is. And those roadblocks, you can master them by just seeing what I learned in that moment.
And that's one of the things I love about your personality is, you listen, and we talked a little bit about that, but like it's okay to hear no, or it's okay to hear a different opinion about something, but you're able to listen and process it and say, okay, well, let me take what you're saying and see how I can incorporate that to make myself not only better, but to make the situation better for you.
Yeah, because if somebody says, okay, I don't like that design, okay, I could get hard. I can beat myself up about it, or I could say, oh, you don't like that. Okay, what do you like?
Yeah.
And then they'll tell me exactly what they like.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, keep that in mind. Let me design something like that. You just have to, because the people are who buy into your system. Why would I get mad at them for saying they don't like something of mine?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's a little absurd to expect everybody that comes in to preview what you have, whether it be in your lane or our lane of having vintage pieces. I think it's pretty wild to think that like everybody that walks through your door is going to be like, man, this is crazy. I gotta have this.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, like Aaron and I were big collectors of vintage. You have a severe love of fashion. Like, you're gonna be more inclined to want to spend that dollar on something that you see. Likewise with us, whereas like somebody, they might like to look at it, but they're not. Their focus isn't on clothing like ours is. So it's the not pressure but incentive to want to invest in a piece just isn't there like it is for us. And I think we have to keep that in mind that like not everybody is ready to jump and spend, even if it's $15, but some of the pieces in here and some of the pieces you have a few $100s. Not everybody's willing to jump and do that, because that checks a big box for us when we find something that we like, but it's not like that for everybody.
It understands switches. Like you just said, like I used to be a fast fashion shopper, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that was in my tax bracket. That's what I could afford.
Sure.
Now I'm gonna shift, and now I'm gonna get something else that's quality that I could spend a little bit more money on it, because I may be making more money. I see things differently. I'm saving differently. There's so many layers to it. So again, I can't get mad at. I used to get mad. Sometimes I still do get mad at why people don't understand my price points. Man, it's like really good quality. Why people don't why does people not understand that? And what I have to deliver that message a little bit better. I have to understand where people are at and meet them there sometimes. Like I may make that affordable piece one day. You know what I'm saying? That speaks to more people. Like you also I'm a really big brand consumer for God. He has essentials. That's the base level stuff, but still nice quality. But it's not the $695 price point. So, but they're under the same bracket. I'm gonna get there one day, to where I want to serve, my younger crowd, like my high school students and stuff like that, the middle school that maybe can't afford that $300 hoodie, that $250 hoodie, and we can get there at $75. I'm not there yet, but I would love to experience that side. You know what I mean? And we all have those moments. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you got your $300, $400 pieces up there, but you also have a nice $15 piece that's very good quality
and unique.
Unique. You know what I'm saying? So it's this. This business is tough. But you have to speak to you at the end of the day.
And I think the hard part too is not realizing that your brand or your business might not be for everybody.
For sure.
As much as we want to try to grow it as large as we can, you still have to kind of somewhat stay in your lane of like this is my target group, this is who I want to focus on, and this is who's buying my product. I think I can speak for me. it's hard for me to invest in a $200 piece sometimes. But if you can tell me that the hoodie that I'm investing in, the quality, and I can feel it and I can see it and I can put it on and I know that I can wear it and it's going to, 20 years from now I'm still going to have it and it's going to be intact and in great shape, I'm all in on it. And that's one of the things I like about the new line that you have. Like this hoodie has a very classic look to it, and it's like it will stand over, the next 20 years. I think you can style that with jeans, with anything that you want. And it's not really on trend. It's not something that's trendy. It's going to be something. That's why I gravitate to like Polo and to LL Bean and some of those brands that, even you look at the old J. Crew, the 90s and 80s J. Crew.
That's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
I really grew up with Ralph Lauren's, like my mom in the men's department, shoes, all that. I really grew up watching like Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
Man, he comes out with the same collared shirt.
Yeah.
And everybody
not even the same color shirt, but like
the exact
same thing.
The same thing. And people,
he just styles it differently to kind of lend to current day things, and it also helps that it's seasonal too. But like there's some years where like he probably won't push just a polo shirt as much as he will a few seasons up. He'll push the sweatshirts and the hoodies and just the basic T-shirt,
and
that sort of thing.
Quality.
That's the key.
It's great quality.
And he's got it in. I won't say just him, but his team has it so down to a science that, like I said, nothing is new.
Yeah.
It's just reused so that he can just be like, well, everything's kind of lending to this. Let me just go grab my notebook real quick, and this is what we're making this time. There's nothing you have to do. And you get experimental every now and again with a couple fun colors, but for the most part, it's just, okay, well, now that this book's going to be done for a little bit, let's go back to this.
And how many
all
people?
The work's done.
And how many people are familiar with Purple brand?
Yeah.
Not the jeans.
I don't know. Are you talking about the
Ralph
mattress?
Lauren.
No.
The mattress?
No. No, I'm talking about Ralph Lauren's other brand.
Yeah.
His upscale brand, Purple Label.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
It's in a lot of. It's more like it's in like New York and a lot of the higher end areas.
Yes, that's his high end stuff. That's his stuff. That's like.
Yeah, I did not know about that.
Yeah, most people wouldn't.
Attention to a lot of new stuff, so.
Because he's not pushing. He knows the market to push that too. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'll see the things like that in Neiman Marcus and those upscale, Barney, like those type of.
He's clearly not marketing to somebody like myself, or I would have heard about it.
Yes.
And it's funny too because you take a brand like Polo, and you used to be able to find it at Marshalls, TJ Maxx, places like that, and he was like, "Fuck no!" He's like, "I'm pulling this shit out of there." Well, you don't see that stuff anwood, and that's why because he's like, "Hold up." This is what I built this on. This is.
But that would also be a part of like the quality control. How they're able to do that is you see it in Saks Off Fifth, 3 seasons behind. They may throw what didn't sell in those stores, but it was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
But it's still nice quality. I get a lot of my glasses, my designer glasses for around $100. The little gym, I get them for about $120, $400 to $500 glasses for $120 because they're a season ago. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But
it has that classic. It's still it's not so much where I'm going is like it's not so much of a trend that people would even know. That's the thing with Polo. Like a blue button down Oxford. You can go find it at Marshall's for $24, but you go to the mall or somewhere and buy it, and it's like $100 Oxford.
I'll give you this.
But it's the exact same thing, and the trend doesn't change, and the style doesn't change, which is really cool in a way. But at the same time, like you said, he has to pull that back in and say, hold on.
So if we look at these glasses, these are Saint Laurent glasses, right? So they got the old what type of style is that? The Ray-Ban style.
Yeah.
Wayfair. So they'll just put like cooler things on it as far as the hearts. So it's like hearts in there in the frame, and these were originally like $500 glasses that I got for maybe $89 to $100 at Saks Off Fifth. Yeah. That's just what Marshall's is for a Ralph Lauren.
Oh yeah.
Like they'll get if the thread count is a little bit off or the horse is a little bit crooked and went into quality control, they kick that out. What do they do with that stuff? Marshall's they'll buy that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where all that stuff
Oh,
goes.
yeah.
So
That
that's
makes-
just how they,
Yeah.
make money off of it.
That makes sense.
We can't throw it away. I mean, we can throw it away, but
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
that doesn't
Right.
make sense.
And honestly, you just kind of get your brand out there even more. I mean,
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the positive around it. So let's talk a little bit. We won't go on and on forever, but so talk about the new line that's coming out. What are some ideas? And maybe you can share, maybe you can't. But what is your vision, I guess, for this launch in September?
Here's our main goal, because we're a smaller brand. We went to a newer manufacturer that's requiring us to do 150 to 200 minimums. So one style, you have to order 200 pieces. We can't do that right now. Other brands like Kith, and I don't know this to be factual, but I know they're roughly around 50 to 75 because they have great relationships and they're much bigger. So right now, our main focus is to get in stores. Like Oneness, these different boutiques, Nordstrom's, Neiman Marcus. We're really shopping around that field. That's why we just came to Vegas. All those retailers, wholesalers were out there. They loved our styles. We had 20 accounts come up to us and were like, man, we really love that. And Nordstrom's was one of that. We didn't get that deal with them because, again, we have to be a much bigger. They were talking about distributing centers where we're at, and we was like, we don't have that right now, but we're currently looking for it so we can push that process. But right now, that's my main goal for this collection. If I have to ride it out for a year or two, because you have pieces that are, kind of in the future, I can scale back and then reintroduce that next year, whatever pieces don't get picked up, so that's the main goal, is to get in a lot of boutiques, upscale boutiques, and retailers like Nordstrom's and things like that.
Yeah,
that's the main goal, because again, we want to be credible a lot, because we have such good quality. How do you could say all day on the internet and show people, oh, this is French Terry's, blah blah blah, but if they don't understand what they're looking at, then what else makes you credible?
Yeah.
The stores tell the customer, hey, this is what you need to buy.
Absolutely.
I could do it on the internet all day, but
that's what every other half-ass brand does as well. Like, how many times you're on Instagram or TikTok and they say the finest materials, or this or that, certain wording that they use, and then we never really invest, but a lot of people will wind up investing in that, and they get it and they're like,
no, it's not.
Oh, so I guess it's actually not. Okay,
yes.
Cool.
So that's what I want to separate myself from. And it's no not. I don't shit on anybody's dreams or aspirations, because it took me a while to get quality. But even if I'm gonna give you guys game, you can find quality within wholesaling too. You have to do your research. You have to understand what GSMs are. So we'll say ounces. You have to understand how heavy a garment is. If you're looking at a 5-ounce T-shirt with no base and it's just wholesale and it's super thin, no. Gildan used to give a really great shirt back in the day. Like, if you find old vintage Gildan T-shirts, you will find some really great garments. You know what I'm saying, with Gildan. But when the demand came, everybody wanted to start a brand. They had to meet the brand. They had to meet the how can you say it? They had
quantity
to meet
rather
the
than
demand.
quality.
Yeah, they had to meet that, and that just, it messed up the quality. Bad, really bad. But there's other Cotton Heritage. They have a really good T-shirt, hoodie. It's a wholesaler site that you can go through. If you have an LLC account, you get that, and they'll open up their catalog to you. You can find a really good T-shirt.
Yeah.
You can find a really good hoodie with them. So that's some free game right there. If you want to start a brand, go look at an 8-ounce T-shirt. It's heavier, 8 to 9 ounces. When you get into the 12 to 15 ounces on a t-shirt, you don't want to really go to a wholesaler. You want to find a production company.
So I think that's key. Again, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. Learn, because it took you a long time to get to that point and to learn kind of that whole process.
Like I knew my prices have always been high because I've always researched, okay, even if I'm wholesaling, what's the best wholesaling brand out there? It's putting out a good t-shirt. Piece, premium tees, and even sometimes when brands say premium, it's not premium. So you got to go through that, of course. Finding that right wholesale premium shirt, and it's on the higher side of things. And then once you get into that, that's not including the screen printing and stuff like that. That's another price point. So that's why you see a t-shirt maybe being this lower quality, being roughly around $45, and it shouldn't be. It should be around 28 to 30.
We deal with that every day, the reprint business and vintage t-shirts. I mean, they've got them for like $10, $15 at,
Forever 21.
All these places, and people don't. People just they're like, okay, I'm cool with that. It's not the real thing,
but you shouldn't be. I mean, you
those people. I mean, mostly just aren't collectors. At heart, you know what I mean? Because the vintage is a collector's.
Well, even if you're not a collector, man, you shouldn't want that as a consumer, because you're going to buy so many of those T-shirts, and you're just spending the same amount, or whether just coming in here and buying
a quality one,
the
original, that's going to hold up over time.
But people are impatient though, because a lot of people, especially for some of the originals that are nearing 3 digits, $100, couple $100, they may not have the funds to be able to get that piece, and by the time they save up the money to feel where they're comfortable to buy that piece, it's not even cool anymore.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But cool is subjective.
I mean, without a doubt. But again, we're going back to people who are
just look out there.
I heard you. Pick exactly what's on the mannequin in the store. Wear that. Don't do it any other way.
And somebody told me that over 50%, I want to say, what did he say, like 80 to 90% are mannequin shoppers.
Oh, that's what we were talking about earlier.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
That's the thing that we struggle with the most in this shop, is that every piece is different. There's not the same piece is not in here. I mean, obviously we got a lot of different jeans, but people don't know how to come in and not look at the mannequin and say, I want that complete outfit. They don't know how to take a pair of jeans and pair it with a shirt, and then pair it with a jacket, and then rock it with the shoes that they own. So it's difficult. That's the most difficult thing for Scott and I, because with your brand, you have how many pieces in your collection?
With this newer collection, we probably have over 50 pieces.
So 50 pieces. We probably have 800 pieces in the shop, and every one of them is different. So it's like almost overwhelming to someone who.
Sure. And they change every day also.
Sure.
We add 30 to 40 sometimes, but, we'll come in and do a big restock, and we have 300 new pieces in the store. So even if somebody came in and saw something and they're second guessing it, they come back, it's gone. Now here's a new one they got to figure out. So it's, and it's a lot easier than a lot of people think, but at the end of the day, until they realize that, it's tough. So it's a
I would tell the listener, if you guys are watching this, I would say, like, explore. Don't be scared of what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? It's a room right here where you can style it up. Come in here, find a piece, just go in this room, style it up, see what it looks like on you. Take a chance, you know what I mean? If you don't know what your set style is, like look at certain things, and all right, I'm just gonna try it on, see how it feels on me, see what it looks like. I may not like it, or I may fall in love with it. Don't be scared to experiment in here. Like that's what I would do that's what I still do when I come in here. I'm like, okay, like, all right, let me see what that looks like.
We're gonna get you in those pants.
I got you.
So let's wrap this up.
Right.
One of the things we do at the end is we do a heat check. You talked a lot about style. Let's talk a little bit about your style. What is something that what's a musician or an artist here locally in Kentucky or in Lexington that you're really rocking with right now?
I would say Els Bentley. Yeah, he's really fire. Paperboy Casino. Mikey Trill.
Yeah,
I like
Mikey's
him.
our guy.
Yeah, I like Mikey. Trap Steve, Mega Millions, First Shift. Those guys are in the Louisville area.
Yeah.
You know, I like a lot of the younger guys down here. A lot of the older guys too. So, that's pretty much my range of music around here. And I'm sorry if I miss somebody. You know, but I listen to a lot of music.
Born and raised here in Lexington, what's your favorite place to eat?
Everybody's gonna go probably with Wendy's. I'm not Wendy's. I'm sorry.
Wendy's. Hey, that would be Scott. Dude, that would be Scott.
Man, I don't mess with Wendy's.
Indies. I'm sorry.
Indies.
Indies. Oh yeah, and then it was they just changed management. You know the Chinese spot over there by Lexington Legends.
Yeah.
Over King of Foods. King of Foods.
Mm-hmm.
They just changed the people that was the best Chinese restaurant.
I have to try
ever.
that out. I haven't had that one, so I definitely
when
have to try that.
When I was growing up, that was the best one. I can't speak for them now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you do drink, so drink a choice.
I like bourbon.
Bourbon?
Yeah.
Specific kind?
Woolford.
Okay.
I'm a Woolford guy, but it's some other bourbons out there that I like too.
Okay. And now, is there a brand or something you're rocking with right now that's not yours?
No.
It's really hard. I like a lot of the local brands. You know, we got 1-0, we got First Shift, we have Always, Love Always.
Mm-hmm.
We have Uncle Steve. You know, Soul and Roses. We got
Love
quite-
Always is huge. I didn't realize they were here, but I discovered that a couple months ago.
Yeah. What other brands? That's right off the top of my head. Those are some of the brands that I really rock with. Yeah.
I'm gonna take it back a little bit old school here with the old cartoons. You know, at the end of every cartoon, they'd give a PSA, and they'd say, don't do drugs or don't do this or whatever. If you could give a PSA to the viewers, what would your PSA be?
Wild things create the world.
There you go. I like that.
It's easy.
That's a good way to end it. So we appreciate everything, Jaron. Thank you.
appreciate
Good
you
luck
guys.
with everything.
Thank you.
We love you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
And
Love
thank you all
guys, too.
for listening and watching. And we'll see you next time.
Peace out.
They've been plotting, trying to stop us, but we keep it moving. Tried to show them, but they never got it till it's too late. They gon' regret this. Invite only and your name ain't on the guest list. Yeah, it's a slim chance that you belong with us, so don't be long with us. Don't belong, you don't belong, yeah. It's so evident you don't belong with us, so don't be long with us. Yeah. They've been plotting, trying to stop us.